All right, let's talk about Mississippi State and Kentucky. Big matchup in Rupp this week as Kentucky faces the Bulldogs, team that got a big win against Tennessee and played well against Alabama. This game is very interesting, Maddie. Mississippi State has the second best defensive rating in the SEC and has Tolu Smith back, healthy again. Makes a big difference for for Mississippi State. What does Mississippi State have to do, Maddie, to get a win in Rupp?
I mean, obviously they're going to have to go in and limit Kentucky's offense. Like we talked about earlier, you texted me earlier this week and said, Kentucky and Alabama are very similar teams, and the fact that
High offense,
they're all
especially on
offense,
defense. Yeah.
not much defense. So they're going to have to go in. They're going to have to win the battle of the boards. They're going to have to play excellent defense, especially around the perimeter. Because if you let Kentucky get hot and Rupp from the three, there's a chance they may run away with that game. So I think Mississippi State has a chance here. But I think it's going to be very similar to the Alabama game. So I think it's going to be dependent on what they learned in that game against Alabama and how they're going to use that to their advantage against this Kentucky team.
It's a really, really good defense. Mississippi State, not enough appreciation for that defense. And one of the things that I'm really interested in this game is the front court for Mississippi State. You got DJ Jeffries, who's really a good basketball player, and Tolu Smith being back. We were talking about at the beginning of the season that this right here, I was saying that this is the best front court in the SEC when it's healthy. There's some pieces that it's still trying to get healthy again and trying to get itself back to 100%, but Mississippi State's can make a difference down there. I look at the size difference between Aaron Bradshaw and Tolu Smith in that matchup. Like if that's the matchup you're going to have down low, I'm kind of liking Tolu Smith just a little bit. DJ Jeffries is a really good four man. I think that's going to be a really intriguing matchup if Trey Mitchell is on DJ Jeffries during that game at the four spot. I'm very intrigued. Yeah, to me, obviously it's the guards that make the difference for Kentucky. DJ Wagner, Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard, those guys who can all hit from three. And you got DJ Wagner who can drive the ball, Justin Edwards, who's a solid three option. You got really good players around your backcourt. So I like State's front court, and I like State's front court, and I like Kentucky's backcourt in this game a lot. So yeah, it's going to be a big matchup between the home teams. By the way, I mentioned the ratings. Kentucky with the third best offensive rating in the SEC, but like we mentioned, very much in the middle of the pack in the defensive end, over 100 on the defensive rating for the Wildcats. Maybe that opens up some opportunities for Josh Hubbard for Mississippi State, who's capable of shooting the three ball. He was also, I believe, at one point top five in the SEC and 3-point field goals made right there with Reed Shepard and Antonio Reeves. So he's very capable for being for helping out on the offensive end. So KenPom has this game 80-75, Kentucky at 69%. Maddie, who are you going with in this one and why?
I'm going to go Kentucky, mainly because they need that comeback game after the loss this week, one that was definitely unexpected by pretty much everyone. So I think Kentucky's going to go in with a chip on their shoulder, going to be hitting those shots. Saw some posts that there were players staying late after that game getting shots up. So, I think they're zoned in. I think they're ready to go, and I think they're ready to get a comeback win.
I really am. We're picking a lot of similar games, so I'm going to take a swing at an upset here, and I'm going to go Mississippi State. I think Kentucky's going to get a win this week. Don't get me wrong, but this one's intriguing. It's a really interesting matchup, and I don't want to discredit Mississippi State. I think their defense is a top-notch defense. It's really overwhelming and can play when it's on, it's on. And having Tolu Smith down low is going to be really, really helpful. I'm curious, like I said, at that five spot. That's going to be the interesting matchup for me between these two. I'm going to go Mississippi State, but I will not be surprised if Kentucky wins it because obviously it's a bounce back game for Kentucky after that Rose loss to Texas A&M, and obviously Kentucky's offense is really dang good. So that's another one of these matchups where we're talking about polar opposites: good defense, good offense. Rupp may be a huge factor. That to me might give Kentucky the edge. So I would favor Kentucky. I'm picking Mississippi State.
Okay, there we go.
All right, Georgia hits the road to face Kentucky, though. Both these teams coming off a loss on Saturday. Tennessee ended Georgia's best start to its season in decades, and a 10-game winning streak for the Bulldogs. Kentucky, of course, we just mentioned, took that loss to Texas A&M. Maddie, when you look at the matchup, who are you going in this one and why?
I'm gonna go Kentucky in this one, mainly because we've seen Georgia have a fantastic season so far. But I think Kentucky's just a little bit more experienced. Georgia on the road. I think they got close against Tennessee because they were at home. But I think Rupp is going to be a huge factor in this game. Georgia's got a game against South Carolina earlier in the week. I think they might be able to take a win in that one, so they won't be as pressed to get the win here. And like I said, I think Rupp is going to be too much for a younger Georgia team who's been hot.
Yeah, so I'm obviously I picked Mississippi State in that last game, looking for an upset pick. But I'm going to pick Georgia here. Or, sorry, I'm going to pick Kentucky here over Georgia. I totally think Georgia's playing good ball. And I think Georgia's capable of making Kentucky sweat in this game. Kentucky's offense is overwhelmingly better than Georgia's offense, in my opinion. When I look at the stats and you break that down into the advanced stats category, you're looking at a Kentucky team who I said, as I mentioned, is toward the top in the SEC in offensive rating. They're also playing at a much higher pace than Georgia. Georgia offensive rating is actually worse than Arkansas's. 107.4 for Georgia. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Kentucky in this game, and especially being at Rupp. Yeah, I'm thinking KenPom's got this one right, and I am going to go with Kentucky in this one. KenPom, by the way, has this game at 85-74, Kentucky at 84%. Seems very much the safe pick in this regard, but take it as you will. I think Georgia's really good, so I think they're going to make this entertaining. If they got that win, though, against Kentucky, massive resume point.
Yeah.
Bulldogs in the NCAA tournament.